not like I want to speak, it's more like I want to communicate about the usability testing. Because I made a research and most of the information was new for me. I hope that those of you who will have something to add to my report, well, I'll be appreciated if you will share your wisdom. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm gonna ask two questions. How many of you know what usability testing is? Yeah, everyone.
Who
Okay.
doesn't?
Then,
Yeah, it's
then I won't slow down on the description of usability testing. We will just run through it just to remember something. The next question is how usability testing is performed in mock.
Master of Code.
In Master of Code, yeah. How do we do it?
Ad hoc. Almost every.
Okay, so we almost don't have it.
We don't have exact steps or exact procedure how to test it.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly based on each QA knowledge, his own user experience, his own analytic abilities, and so on and so on. So we do not divide test into functional testing or to usability testing. We expect it to be done thoroughly, like one process.
Yeah, okay, but usability testing is resource consuming testing. It takes a lot of money, a lot of time. We don't have usually such resources. Yeah. Excuse me.
A lot of humans too.
Yeah, a lot of humans. But everybody tells that it is very important, that usability testing, and we must do something about it. I'll start from some statistics. So phone users in US spend 86% of their mobile usage time solely on apps. Mobile users spend 80% of their mobile app usage time using just 5 apps out of total of 24 apps they typically use in a month. 25% of installed apps are never used. 26% of installed apps are abandoned after the first use. Everybody can read? Yeah, it's okay. So it tells us about the situation where we work so hard, we struggle to put our product to a market, overcrowded market, and most of the apps out there are uninstalled after the first use or in 3 days. So what is the problem? There are two main points. Either the app doesn't meet the expectations of a user, or it's done wrong. Its user interface, well, the first impression of the app is wrong. People look at it, and they don't like it, they uninstall it. That means that the usability testing was or wasn't done or was done in the wrong way. Answers that we obtain through usability testing. How easy is it for users to accomplish basic tasks the first time they encounter the design? The efficiency, how fast can experienced users accomplish tasks. Memorability, it's when users return to a design after a period not using it. Does the user remember enough to use it effectively the next time, or does the user have to start over again learning everything? Errors and satisfaction. So I guess these answers are important. We want to know these things. While we develop an app, we boil in this pot for a very long time, like month, 2 or 3. You're in the context of this app for too long. You need a fresh view and insight. Yeah. I think we did everyone take part in UAT Kaizen project lately?
Kaizen.
Kaizen,
Kaizen.
like Kaiser.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kaizen. Nice job.
That's a good practice. I actually even liked it. I spent like an hour doing this, and as I see it, and I read like 20 or 30 articles about usability testing, UX design, and everything. Everybody say that this testing has to start even on a mock-up stage. The usability testing has to start over there. Um, okay, you start the maximally formalized process of usability testing looks like this. You start with the usability test plan. Here's everything you need for the usability testing. Then,
Don't point with your finger. Use.
oh, okay, that's how it might look. It can fit on just one sheet. So, uh, based on usability test plan, you're gonna need strict and clear objectives of the test. That's what do you want to obtain of this test. You're gonna need tasks that will be performed, test documentation, the participants, and the method. So you can clear out the objectives of the usability test through asking the app's stakeholders the right questions. What is the app's roadmap? What users and markets for whom the app is targeted? The app's competitors? Research that has already been done and other that team requires, the potential impact of the above research, timing and scope. By the way, about the competitors, if you have time and resources, you can make usability testing of your competitors' app along with your own app. You can then compare the metrics, the results, well, if you have time. The answers obtained from the interviews with stakeholders will give you two very important things: what the stakeholders already know and what they would like to know. This is the example of the tasks that will be performed during testing. They have to be one sentence long. They have to be simple. You don't have to tell participants of the testing, click that button, look there. No, it's just sign in or sign up or send an email, and you will look how fast they will do it, how many errors they will encounter in the process. So no help for them, just the task. And then those tasks should be converted to task scenarios, which have to be realistic, actionable, and without any clues on how to perform the steps, as I said before. Or they have to be ordered in a sequence that ensures a smooth flow of the test session. So it doesn't have to be sign in, then sign up. It has to be sign up, then sign in, and everything else. It's the documentation, or the consent form. If you invite people from outside of the company to test your product, you're gonna have them to sign the NDA and the agreement form. It's formal.
Do you know the wording of NDA?
Non-disclosure agreement.
Договор о неразглашении. Non-disclosure agreement.
And post-test questionnaire. Content of this questionnaire can range from 2 simple post-test questions to standard questionnaires. Test participants. They must be representatives of the users for whom the app is intended, and they must own a device whose operating system is the one on which the app is intended to run.
So no elderly people there
Oh,
to use an app.
excuse me. They have to be representatives of target users. If it's an app for older users, you have to invite older users.
Usually the target users are like teens or young men or
Not always.
We will return to this a little further. And the methodology of mobile application usability testing, it could be laboratory-based usability testing or remote. They are both complicated and very expensive. Either you have your own lab or you outsource this testing to a company who makes usability testing. Remote testing is a mess, really. You have to find people over the internet, contact them, and well, there's
a lot more support.
You can use
Yeah.
service like usabilitytesting.com or usertesting.com, and they provide you specific target audiences, but it's pretty pricey.
I look like in United Kingdom, the cost of performing one task in a laboratory costs like 100 pounds. No,
100.
100, yeah.
I want to be in the target group, please.
No, I don't think
You
those.
will get like £1 for that.
Yeah, that's money for the company, not for the participant. That's the laboratory. That's how it looks. Cameras everywhere. This one is recording the expression of the face of participant, which is very important. Then all this information gathers onto one screen with the exact timing, so you can know his expression exactly at the time he sees the screen or taps a button. Some people say that these videos are more important than test questionnaires, post-test questionnaires, because they can answer you whatever they like, whatever they want, but the expression of the face won't lie. He's like, he can tell you, oh, it's okay, but it tells the truth, really. And the timing of testing procedure per participant. It's like, welcome, sign in the forms, 5 minutes, pre-test interview, 5 minutes, 35 minutes for carrying out the tasks, questionnaire 5 minutes, interview 5 minutes, and debriefing. Reporting the results of usability test. We can divide data into two categories, quantitative data and qualitative. Quantitative we gain through using usability metrics such as completion rates, success rates, task times, satisfaction ratings, and error rates. And qualitative data through answers they provide in a questionnaire, post-test interview, and debriefing sessions. So, well, it's clumsy, it's boring, it's time-consuming, it's expensive. We can't afford that. We can get rid of most of the problems with UI, UX if we all will understand the principles on which good UI and UX is based on. Everyone in the team has to understand those things, starting from the designer who makes mock-ups, and developers should understand that too, because sometimes, the simple example, they make an input field in which you have to insert only digits, and they didn't make a 10-digit keyboard for that field. So it complicates the task for user.
Complicates
the
the
testing,
validation,
verification, the testing.
increases errors.
Yeah, this simple solution will get rid of all those problems. I've seen in on our Helpful project, though, yeah, we fixed that very quickly. Another example is like input field where you input an email. You better give the user a keyboard with add symbol that he doesn't have to search for it. I found 6 principles of this UI design. We will go through them. Design should organize the user interface purposefully in meaningful and useful ways based on clear, consistent models that are apparent and recognizable to users, putting related things together and separating unrelated things. The structure principle is concerned with overall user interface architecture. So, the first thing, design should organize the user interface purposefully. Every app is a tool. User when user downloads this app to his phone, he is expecting to use it for something, and we have to build the whole app around that purpose. It's just not eye candy program for pleasure viewing. No. It has to perform tasks. The other thing, it has to be recognizable to users. Do you know what is skeuomorphism is? Skeuomorphic design. How many of you knows what this is? Okay.
You're welcome to tell everyone.
Here's the example.
Who was attentive enough to remember?
Well, I'm sure the train knows what it is.
He used example about leather notebook and so on.
Yeah. Well, skeuomorphic means the design that replicates the features of things from a physical world. It helps to communicate with the machine. The first man who used this principle in UI was Steve Jobs. And for more than 30 years, he used it as the main principle in their design. After his death, well, it began with Windows Phone. Windows proposed a flat design. It was more clear, it was more legible, human readable, and all.
Simpler.
More simple, yeah, because we don't want the user to be overwhelmed with so many details. You don't even know what's clickable here, what's not. Well, that's obviously clickable. What about this and that? And well, what's this? Is it a scroll or drag? Well, it's useless.
As far as I remember, iOS 7 was almost flat and Jobs was alive.
Jobs could restrain the moving of iOS design towards the flat design. When he died, nobody could do that anymore. That is skeuomorphic. That is flat. Google presented in 2014 material design. It's like a progression of the flat design. But when people say that skeuomorphic is dead, it's not really. The tabs in your browser, it's like folder tabs, yeah? That is skeuomorphic. It's taken from a real world and everybody knows how to use it. There are some old things like the saving button looks like a floppy disk, yeah? People who were born later than 1998, they don't know what it is. They haven't seen such things ever.
Simple tabs.
Oh?
They don't know what tab is.
Tab?
Tabs.
Oh, tabs? Oh, well, I think they will get used. So, yeah, you can change the look of the tabs. You can you can remove all the gradients and other things, make it plain and simple, but it's still gonna be a tab. Those switches, radio buttons, checkboxes, they didn't go anywhere. because we need them. And this is also skeuomorphic. It's just not like flat via skeuomorphic. It's like flat plus skeuomorphic. That's why if we want to invent something new, a new element in the design of our app, we should look at what people already know. We
need to make a smooth transition between them, between skeuomorphic and flat.
Yeah, we can't make onboarding on every element of our app. Yeah, we want people to understand what this app for the first time they see it.
I'm sorry, he died 2 years before iOS 7 release, so you're right.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. The simplicity principle. The design should make simple, common tasks easy, communicating clearly and simply in the user's own language and providing good shortcuts that are meaningfully related to longer procedures. That point that in user's own language, I've seen a comparison of two versions of one web app. One was made in skeuomorphic old design, not even skeuomorphic, better to say like it was made in 2000 or 1999, and more modern styled version of the app. But the app was made for people who's older than 40, and they didn't understand a thing in the new design. It was like transparency and all the fancy those things. No, they wanted old design. So we have to communicate. We have to know our users. That's how we can understand what product to give them. The visibility principle. The design should make all needed options and materials for a given task visible without distracting the user with extraneous or redundant information. Good designs don't overwhelm users with alternatives or confuse them with unneeded information. Again, that skeuomorphic design of well, it's confusing. It's unneeded.
It's confusing for you now as you have a lot of user experience. But if you, for example, were like somewhere in
Last
90s
30 years.
and you used Mayak
Oh, excuse me.
audio
Do you
player.
remember Winamp?
Yes.
Still alive, actually.
Yeah, you remember the time where when skins
Yes.
appeared for the Winamp?
They were very popular.
Oh, some of them could make my eyes bleed, but I like them so much. I don't like them anymore.
Why? Actually, this is like the two-sided situation when you need to know your audience and figure out that they could efficiently use your app, but you still need to teach them the good flat design and so on and so on. So you just need to change this slowly.
That's one side of the coin, yeah. But there is a thing when a user opens the app or a website and he wants to do something on this website. He knows what he wants to do, but doesn't know how. And he thinks he's an idiot. That's
No. It doesn't
Oh,
work this way.
I'm so
Everybody's
old.
idiot, not you.
I don't know how to use this app. I'm so old. I'm so stupid. We don't want our users to think that way. Yeah. No, really, we don't.
No, this is just doesn't work this way. Everybody's stupid, not you. If you can't achieve your goal on the app or on the website, the creators of this thing are stupid. They don't know their work, but you are not stupid because you know what you want.
It depends on your confidence in yourself and your experience.
If you are not confident, you just think that how I want to make it I need to meet my goals. How I can do this and just go away from that because it scares me. But never ever somebody thinks that he or she is stupid just because it's human nature.
No,
And
I
that's
would not agree.
and that's no, this is like in general, and that's the issue with the new things, because people don't like changes. And
Depends on user experience. I bought my first smartphone like a few years ago. At that time, they were already everywhere. it's, it's okay, really. In first few months using the new technology, it was new for me. I was like, oh, I'm really old. I should have bought it years ago. It's so hard. Now I can say, oh, what the hell have they done with the app? It was good before they touched it. Okay, I think you understand. The feedback principle. The design should keep users informed of actions or interpretations, changes of state or condition, and errors of exceptions that are relevant or of interest to the user through clear, conscious, and ambiguous language familiar to users. Means that user has to understand what's going on in his app. The tolerance principle. The design should be flexible and tolerant, reducing the cost of mistakes and misuse by allowing undoing and redoing, while also preventing errors wherever possible by tolerating varied inputs and sequenced and by interpreting all reasonable actions. Well, it's good that we have to tolerate varied inputs and other things. Well, have you heard about the red root principle? Red route, it comes from London. In London, those red buses, they can travel only on the roads with red stripe along the road. They can move only by these paths, and everybody has to give them way. There's a principle of using app around that red route. At first, you find out that route, the flow. Then you try to move all the obstacles on that route, so nothing hinders, nothing complicates performing the task by the user. And then you have to get rid of all the unnecessary shortcuts, or well, it's like a train, you know. User can move either one way or another. If you give him opportunity to skip, switch the flows, you drastically complicates the testing task for you. How do I say?
User will get confused if he has several ways to do one simple thing, and he will not know which one is correct, and he will assume that if he does it other way, then it will be wrong.
Exactly. We are making like pipes which user travels from one task to another. Um, don't give him too much freedom, he will break something. Okay. And reuse principle. The design should reuse internal and external components and behaviors, maintaining consistency with purpose, thus reducing the need for users to rethink and remember. That returns us to a skeuomorphic design and older so older solutions in design. However eye candy and fancy the new solutions are, if your goal not to teach a user something new, but let him perform his task easily, just give him something he is used to. I try to make a list of errors. That's a quote. Um, I like gather 10 things. When I finish, we can exchange such things.
Experience.
Yeah, the experience. What you shouldn't do in any. So a user should never have to ask themselves, is that clickable? We have to make it obvious. A user should never have to pause and be concerned, wait, am I in the right app? The user should never wonder, did the tab work?
Yeah, the last one is actually
Yeah.
pretty needed these days.
Steve Jobs once said that design is not about how it looks, it's about how it works. And skeuomorphic is not only how it looks. Uh, did everyone try the iPhone 7? Yeah. The sensor button works like a button. It clicks beneath your finger, yeah? Why? Why? Uh, a user should never wonder, did the tab work?
I can't understand.
It's a vibro.
The new is just forgotten old, yes.
I like this button, but I absolutely don't understand force touch on the screen, because for me it's like I'm pushing the screen and I'm gonna break it. I cannot use it.
It will be just
Yeah.
with the indents and that's it.
Yeah, something like that.
Bubble wrap.
Okay.
But I'm not a phone user, so it may be caused by that I spend like very little time with iPhones, and I'm not used to that because of my Vidroid.
Okay. A user should never have to use a widget where proper use impedes accuracy. It's like a daytime scroll wheel where scrolling with your finger covers the time being selected. Users should never have to click on every single element to figure out which is radio button, which is on off, which is a multi-select, which is editable text. A user should never have to wonder about the purpose of the menu bar. A user shouldn't have to work harder to read text because it's made out translucent material. A user should never ever be mistaken about whether the shift key is active. By the way, there's
What is it about that?
user should never
The caps lock.
caps lock or
Uppercase button.
I have a question about autocapitalization. Autocapitalization, yeah. In the name fields, because there are some last names that start from a lowercase word.
It should be by default, because like the majority has the first letter in the uppercase, but it should be available to switch off on the keyboard. On the keyboard, just on the keyboard, that you can just make shift be inactive if you just need to, but like
Means that all
the so small percentage has that, so
all the Irish, Scottish
yeah,
surnames.
but in general the population of Earth, and maybe we can just use only the people who actually using apps or using internet, and this percentage
Okay,
is
so
still very small.
You are saying we should.
It should be because if you don't have the autocapitalization, there it just looks like that you are careless in this at this point, because like everybody has the first name with the first uppercase, and the surnames as well. It's just like rare, not rare, but it's small percentage. you need to have opportunity to start with the lowercase, but it should be by default the uppercase.
By the way, I read on one of the forums that in one version of iOS there was a bug. If you turn on the auto capitalization, the first two letters were auto capitalized, not one but two, and it moved to the next version of iOS, so it went below the radar. Nobody corrected
It was
this.
minor task, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Something
it.
trivial.
I'm finished.
And actually about the uppercase, lowercase, the major practice is just to to strip off the auto capitalization to to put this into the database. So it just needs to be all lowercase or the first letters uppercase. And because people like to use caps lock to enter their first name, last name, so it just need to be developers usually use some scripts to just unify all the data that they put into database, so it basically doesn't actually matter.
Okay.
It's the same thing if you have the add button on the keyboard, if you have email field on the screen.
Soon we on Hepla project gonna ask you to take part in UAT for our project, yeah?
Do you already have flow?
No.
No.
It's only in discussion. No?
Okay, I will share not example, how it's called.
Template?
Templates, yes, templates for UAT, so we can work
Really?
some comments about the topic.
I have a question. What about A/B testing? You know that A/B testing is the good method for web development. What about mobile development?
Well, I read in the article that people use the A/B testing, but it's usually when the app is already released and they want to
Change the design.
to make an overhaul of the design, yeah, and they may try to.
We have now A/B
Find a
testing
solution.
for mobile version of our service.
So we just gather feedback. From
Yeah, we just gather all the data to analyze, just to make improvements, what people actually want to see.
It's really good improvements.
Yeah, but it's a lot cheaper probably. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember how much it cost to develop the A/B testing part in the project, but I believe this is a lot cheaper that to use the target
Focus
group. Yeah.
And question about accessibility. Is the
Oh,
accessibility
I
testing
forgot that.
a part of usability?
Usually, yes, and you have to keep in mind the aspects of usability, of accessibility during the development process. You have to remember
Is there
that.
some standard for web or for mobile? Because there is a web standard for accessibility based on
Each mobile platform has its own guidelines, and if I'm not mistaken, the size of the fonts is there. You don't. It has to be big enough to read. And another thing, it also about accessibility, is that a lot of apps made for the right-handed people, but actually they have to be ambidextrous. We have, especially in US, in the United States, they have a lot of lefties, and they have to be able to use the app, especially when you make an app which people would use on the run. like on the way to office or some, when they use one hand, yeah, not cradle position, but one-handed.
This is actually, I'm not quite sure that, yeah, this is good that we need to think about this, but usually if majority of apps were developed for right-handed, so people just get used to that, and even left-handed use this app like right-handed people. For
I
example,
think their brain will.
yeah, it was just adjusted during their development and like during their life, because the example Igman, he is left-handed, but he uses mouse in the right hand just because it developed for
Okay,
for
I can
right-handed
use
people.
mouse with my left hand also, but here's the screen, and here's the zone. It calls a thumb zone.
Yeah.
When you use that, it goes here. If you make a submit button over here, a left-handed person will have difficulties to reach over it.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say that left-handed people just getting used to use apps with the right hand, just because there is majority of them.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah, and devices.
No,
That's
do
good.
you
That
have any examples of famous apps that have this mode, can switch for left hand and right hand?
No. I'm not talking about switching the modes. I'm talking about making it in one single mode, but that won't make obstacles for a group of users. It has to be ambidextrous, that you could easily use it with both hands.
It's like inbox app on Android. Like if I'm holding my phone with right hand, I can click on plus button, and if I'm in my left hand as well, I can click on it. You know, and if this button was, for example, here
there.
in this section, then this button it won't reach.
By the way, the sizes of screens are growing. But our
Fingers
thumbs
not.
are not growing. Yeah. So we have to remember that the screen may be that big, but the actual tapping zone, yeah.
You need to use it with two hands.
You just have to keep it in mind.
It should be wide enough to use this in
When you have so big phone or
Natasha.
public.
Потёкал.
Public.
I'm a left-handed person.
Yes.
How do you use your apps?
No.
I have a very big phone.
Natasha is a combination of two. She's left and she has phablet. So can you share maybe some your user experience?
Use, right hand for phone.
But now you let it.
No, now it's left hand, but usually it's right hand.
Just because you're used to that.
And it's okay for you.
I believe someone else is left-handed.
Yes, but I write with right hand, but
Mhm.
everything I do with left.
You were
Yeah.
taught
To
No,
taught to.
I write with the right hand. All my life.
How goody.
It's useful for me with left hand.
Something else to discuss?
I wanted to not once. I can tell the funny story when I was battling with the developer about the user perception. We had the sorting of the some data on the page, and it was not sorted properly. It should be sorted alphabetically. And when I discovered that, I told this the developer, and he said, "This is all okay because it's being sorted alphabetically in ASCII codes." And I said, "What?" The majority of users do not know about ASCII codes, and
Majority doesn't.
yeah. So I won, but it was very funny when the developer thought that this is all okay. This is in ASCII code that it works. I didn't know about that. It was 5 years ago.
Mm. Yeah, I invented top committed
Yeah,
like
just-
2 years ago. Maybe 3.
As though he wasn't sorting in Klingon.
I'm not quite sure that he